Celebrating 50 years of helping people get the job done right with versatile, durable equipment. Kubota. Together, we do more. Sometimes in life, you find yourself on the right side of the line.
I find it strange that we as men are so comfortable with the fact that we have nipples.
Are you in a prison rec room?
That's why I call my baby Maxwell House.
If you drink blood every day, can you donate more often?
Live from Texas, this is the Dryline Farmer Podcast. You hear that? It's Brent and Landon, and this is the Dryline Farmer Podcast.
Yes, it is, Ashton. This is the Dryline Farmer Podcast. This is actually a part 2 of the Dryline Farmer Podcast. Why? Because 2's better than 1, and we have all kinds of material because we have the one and only Brian Jensen. You heard us last week interview the great voice of Texas Tech football, and now you're going to hear the second half. So without any further delay, check us out. Brent Carlson, Landon Nolan, and the one and only Brian Jensen. Okay, so, we've gone to the transfer portal, not losing eligibility when you transfer, now to the NIL. Are we going to be better? Or is college football going to be better or worse? Or is it just time will tell?
Oh, it's already worse, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's already worse. I mean, the NIL. And I'm an old school guy, and this is the one area where I really have, I've argued until I'm blue in the face, which happens a lot when I talk about this because there are a lot of people that don't believe this. But I went to college and I paid for it, and I was a swimmer when I went to Tech, and I had a partial scholarship, but then I had shoulder issues, and I gave the scholarship back, and I paid for school, and I got a great education, and I got a career because of it. Athletes go to school. Oh well, they go to college, and they get school paid for.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, in back in the day, at least, that was payment enough. Okay. You got a scholarship. You got free school that cost all those other students that come watch you play. That was your payment.
Yeah.
If you didn't use it in the right way, that's your fault. I'm sorry, but you had the opportunity. And then to this day, college isn't cheap. Okay. And I still think, and I get that, I'm proud of what Tech did in their NIL situation with the Matador Club and, the money that has been paid to the 100 players. I think that was a brilliant move in the new rules.
Mm-hmm.
But my world, what my belief was, well, that's great in the new rules, but these new rules just completely blow out the fact that you no longer have student athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Kirby and administrators would argue that, yeah, we do. We have student athletes, and we make sure that they get their degree in their education, and I think that's fantastic. But I think there's a lot of them now that are going to, hang on to this money and go, you know what, I'll go to school, I guess. Do I really have to turn in grades? Do I have to, that's what's next. What's next? Do they actually have to? I don't know. Do they have to still turn in grades? I'm assuming they do to be eligible or not.
Who was it? Who was the basketball player? The clip that always gets plays like practice? We're talking about practice? Practice? That's just silly.
Yeah.
They're
going
to say
Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson. Instead of practice, it's class. You talking about class? We're not going to go to class. That's silly.
Yeah. I'm a little concerned about that part of it. That to me, that was payment enough. And then when it became not payment enough because of what happened? What happened was, this is the weirdest part of the whole thing, in my opinion. Fake games turned in to be the reason we're in all of this with video games.
Oh, okay.
And the likeness situation. It wasn't really jerseys, and it wasn't wasn't. It's once that became so big, and people started, saying, well, as you'll recall, NCAA football actually got canned from EA Sports. They didn't do that anymore. They went with Madden. They didn't do the NCAA anymore. My son he screams all the time, when are they going to bring the NCAA back now that they got NIL? And I'm sure it's coming. But you now can get on Madden and create your own NCAA team, right?
Okay.
And so again, it's all of this that really created all this, and the money behind it is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, I see where it came from, but the unfortunate part is that it's, in my opinion, it's not college football as much as it is almost becoming, or it could become, if we're not careful, minor league football.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically the NFL. I mean, not basically, it practically is the NFL's farm system. I mean, so.
But it's real. But here, this is where I'll jump on you on that.
Okay.
Still to this day, and there's an ad that runs, there's a promo that runs. I think it's how many NCAA athletes actually end up in professional sports. It's very, 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 very small number.
Right.
Very small number compared to how many go on to do other things. Here's my concern. They went on to do other things because they had a college degree that was paid for them. That was their payment to play. And they got that free college degree, and then they went on to become business people or professionals or whatever, made a lot of, they make good money. They have good careers. Well, now, are they still going to do that? That's my concern. My concern is, are they going to think because I get this NIL money, I'm on track. I'm going to be able to become a some level professional athlete instead of paying attention and being concerned with a college education that is actually going to be more important down the road to them than that little bit of money that they got while they were in college.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're making a millionaires right now, but I mean, the same amount of people are going to get in the NFL anyway, but now their focus, it's just like you say, their focus is going to be like everybody's going to get in it. So,
yeah, that's what they're going to think. I'm afraid. But hopefully not. Hopefully somebody is smarter than me and they got it all figured out.
Well, you're talking about 18-year-old boys or young men, 18 to 23, 22-year-old young men. I know I made the best decisions of my life in those 4 years.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting paid.
And I got to believe you didn't have a check dangling in front of you.
I did not. No. I did not. I had a.
What kind of decisions would you have made then?
Oh, God. Yeah. I'd have been so sorry. I'd have been so useless. God, I'd have been useless. I still probably wouldn't have gotten dates, but at least I would have had nice, I don't know, shirts. I wouldn't have had to call my mom mom and dad every 2 weeks for advance on my operating note. So,
Yep.
But
exactly.
No, it's at first I was going to say, is it any different than it was 30 years ago, other than there's zeros on the end of it now? So my freshman year, I took 14 hours first semester. I lived in Murdo. 14 hours, it was about $4,500. That was room and board. That was everything. And I can't, what is it? What's a semester now? Probably at Tech, 15,000, is it? I don't know. I'm just guessing. But
well, but think about the people that, well, it is different now. It's more expensive now, but the more important thing to me is that it's the focus. It's the focus of why you're there. Mm-hmm. Okay, are you there now to play football only, or are you there like back in the day? Trust me, I know this. I was at Channel 8 in the fallout of the SMU death penalty. Okay, so I'm not naive. I get the fact that there were under the table payments, and in that situation, over the table payments. I get that. So I know there were athletes that were not there for college. They were there for football, but the number of them were limited, very limited, in my opinion, at that time, like a couple. Now it's a very large number, but those, like you said, those numbers that are going to the NFL are not going to be much larger than they were before. Yet the focus on why they're there has changed. in my opinion, for a bigger number. And so my concern is that gap in between the guys that were going to get paid anyway, okay, in the under table at SMU.
Oh, okay.
They were going to get paid anyway. And then the guys that aren't going to get paid now, those players right in the middle that are getting some NIL money, but they're not going to be in the NFL, are they going to focus on college and getting their education? Or are they going to focus on trying to go after another check from a sponsor in NIL to get a little bit more cash? Then they're not going to get to the NFL, and that's all they're going to have. And then
they won't have a degree.
Yeah, they won't have a degree, and they'll be going, "What the heck happened?"
Yeah,
and those are the guys I'm really concerned about, and we'll see how it works out. Maybe, like I said, somebody smarter than me, they got to figure it out.
Well, a lot of guys are one injury away from not making it.
Yeah,
that too.
Well, and then how many guys were in the NFL for 5 years or even 10 years and come out broke out of that? And then maybe they've got, all these physical problems and let alone mental problems from the concussions.
Yeah, but they got there. There's a lot. Yeah, I hear you. But those are the guys that were going to do that anyway. They were going to get there anyway. That's why they went to school.
Okay.
Or
to
that college. And I think too, it's too early to know all those things. We're just going to have to see how it plays out. It's just the same answer as the conferences. It's too early to really know how this is going to play out. I just hope and pray that the day this kind of settles, if it does, that Tech and our program are in a good place, which I think it will be. That we'll have an opportunity to be amongst the players of college sports and not the other ones.
Yeah. Well, Brian, you've been more than generous with your time. Just a couple more things. What's your outlook for the season? Do you have a prediction?
So my outlook is great. I mean, I love the fact that we've been picked very low in the conference. Historically, if you look back, typically when that happens, especially when you've got some talent coming back, and then you've added some pretty good spots, like I think Coach McGuire has done. I think he's going to get a lot more out of his players than people even realize, and I think we're gonna improve on what we had last year. I don't think we'll take any steps backwards, and if we improve and get even another game or two under our belt, then we're in a much better place as we get this great recruiting class that's on the horizon, and hopefully start getting into conversation about winning a conference championship before this thing blows up.
Yeah. So tell me, you said you're in your media room.
Yeah.
Tell me just a little bit. What do you got in the background? Is that a basketball jersey? It's just kind of small back over your right. Is that your right shoulder? Yeah. Back over.
I don't know if you saw a picture. I put a picture on my social media this week that I'd signed my agreement with Learfield. We do annual agreements, which I don't still understand, but it's going to be my 23rd season. So my son has a Culver 23 jersey.
Okay.
And so I put on Michael Crabtree's jersey, which I have from the 2008 season, and then put the Culver jersey on top of that and took a picture because it's going to be my 23rd season. So that's there. I have a Mahomes corner over here. We never talked about Mahomes. Man, what a great influence that dude's been on everything Tech. I've got Graham Harrell and Michael Crabtree's the painting of them making the catch on a wall over here. I've got a bunch of memorabilia from when I was in the television sports business from Dallas all throughout my media room, and got my hole-in-one balls over here. And
did you say balls with an S?
I did.
How many do you have?
2.
God,
wow.
I played.
I got 2.
I've had 2 shots 1 foot away from the cup. That's as close as I've been. I've played golf for, 25, 30 years now. And that's as close as I've ever been.
my first one was one of those that I hit the ball and I went, oh my God, this is terrible. It was like a line drive.
Yeah.
And it bounced a couple of times, went to the green, and we didn't see it go in. And I'm like, where? We walk up there. Where is it? Maybe it rolled off the green. And some guy walks up and goes, what are you hitting? And you're not going to believe what ball it was. I was hitting a nitro.
Wow.
I said, I'm hitting a nitro. And he goes, a nitro? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, it's right here in the cup.
Wow.
I said, you got to be kidding me. And I was in one of those hole-in-one clubs where if you play with somebody that you actually are in the club with,
Okay.
and you have the hole-in-one, and he was actually a tech grad who passed away not too long ago, but he had to pay me extra cash because we were playing together. And then the second one was one of those that you always dream of. It was just one of those great shots that you hope to hit the green, took one bounce and into the cup. And I could see it the whole way. It was just really, and with my son, he was there. So it was really cool.
So are you a single digit handicapper?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
Back in the television days, I was when I played every day.
Yeah.
But now I have a real job. Along with the broadcasting. I have a real job.
You've got that whole thing.
So getting a hole-in-one with a nitro, did you hesitate at all before claiming it?
No, because back then, this was before your day, so you probably didn't understand what they were trying to do with the nitro when it came out. It was the hot ball, the nitro, right? And so I thought, okay, well, I got a couple of boxes in the mail from Nitro, and we were, the television, they were trying to promote it. I go, I'll play with these. They were rocks, man.
Oh yeah,
they were like, it's like hitting a rock.
Top flight eggs
which
out.
is probably why I hit it so. That's I'm sure the only reason I hit it so poorly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it did get there.
You didn't have a flat backswing or anything to make that thing skull across the fairway.
No.
Oh
No.
yeah. Well, so now tell me if this says from November 2019 to present. It says you're involved with the YMCA.
Yeah, I've been on the boards of. I was on a local board for 12 years, and then I've been on the Metro Dallas board for, I don't know, 4 years or so.
I see.
Yeah.
That's
the Y that I grew up in and that I swim at every day is about 4 blocks away from me.
I see. So you were, what were you, a freestyle swimmer? What was your event?
Well, that's interesting. So as I was growing up, I was a butterflyer and freestyler. And then in high school, we had a butterflyer that was better than I was. So they needed a backstroker. So I changed the backstroke and made the state meet in backstroke. And then like I said, I went to Tech for a little while on a backstroke or on a swimming scholarship. But I swim still to this day. I swum Alcatraz twice.
Wow.
Which was
really
fantastic. Oh, I got a great story for that.
Go for it. We got hours. We got hours.
Okay. So this is a great story because, and it wasn't, actually 2 of them. So I swam it twice. The first time I swam it, I finished second in my age group, and it was beautiful, perfect conditions. But we had learned about a month and a half before we were to go to San Francisco, we had learned that a gentleman had died of a heart attack in the water of another Alcatraz swim. Wow. And so we were all like, oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. Well, we learned more about the story about, he had actually shown signs on the barge before he got off, blah, blah, blah. Well, that individual was Sam Ellinger's father.
Really?
Yes. I didn't find that out until years later. But Sam Ellinger's father passed away on the Alcatraz swim. Well, the second time I swam it, I went back to try to win in my age group instead of finishing second. But I had rotator cuff surgery the next day because it was in really bad shape. So I swam one-armed. But after that swim, I finished third, by the way, that year. After that swim, viral video came out of a kid that was on the dock at Alcatraz, which is literally just hundreds of yards from where they drop us off to start the swim. And the video was of a great white annihilating a seal right there in front of that dock.
Wow.
And here we were, 800 looking like seals in our black wetsuits.
I was going to say, it has to be a wetsuit deal, yeah.
Swimming in those same waters, and haven't been back there since. But
wow.
I might do it again.
So do you think the prisoners made it and escaped there?
Clint Eastwood might have.
Possibly. There were several swimmers from California that swam without wetsuits. Now, the first time I swam, it was 66 degrees, so that was manageable. The second time I swam it was 58 degrees, which probably would not have been manageable if you were without a wetsuit. I don't think, if you hadn't done it, daily like the California people do.
Is it?
Yeah.
I would have to assume they try to do it in the heat of the summer, don't they, for your races or not?
No, they do it. There is really no heat of the summer.
I was
going to
say,
they do it. They do it by the current.
Okay.
So they try to gauge what time of year there's going to be the biggest gap between the switch of current, because the current there is ridiculous, and so you have to be really conscious of it. And so they try to start you as soon as the current is slowing down coming in from the Golden Gate Bridge and about to shift and go back out towards the Golden Gate Bridge. And so you're swimming the first part of the swim with very little current, and then it starts picking up as you're going. And if you're not careful, they tell you this when you're in training, that if you miss the entrance to Aquatic Park, which is where you're going to finish, the current is going to be strong enough to take you out past the Golden Bridge and you'll die. So they have a bunch of kayak rescue squads and then a couple of boats that are waiting for people that don't make the entrance, and they'll stop them and pull them and then bring them back and get them to the entrance and let them go back in if they're lucky. So, yeah, it's
what's the distance of the race?
It's almost 2 miles.
Oh, yeah. I would
depends on the track you take.
Okay. I think I would stick to trying to get hole-in-ones, to be honest with you, for me.
Yeah, well.
I'm not an accomplished swimmer. Hereford hasn't ever had a big swim team because they didn't have a pool to do it in. So,
It does help to have a pool.
It does help to have a... Sure. They try to get that little individual deal where it's got the current where you can just... But they couldn't fit more than one person at a time. Yeah.
I tried that during COVID, and it was not very successful.
Not very, yeah. No, it just doesn't seem like it works, right? So, yeah. Well, Brian, it's been beyond exciting to have you on here. Tell us where all you want to be found on social media or anywhere on the internet and all that kind of good stuff.
Oh, gosh.
Personal cell phone number if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. My credit card number.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't get you very far. So you can find me on all the regular platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that stuff. And just really the best way to do it is just to put my name in there, or TDRR, Touchdown Red Raiders. That'll probably also get you some of those. And then like I said, I did the podcast last year. If you're interested in taking a look at it, it's called Broadcast Booth, and it's on all the regular, podcast platforms. So Apple and
I know that this is a closing question, but I absolutely cannot believe I forgot
another one.
Yes, where did Touchdown Red Raiders? When was that born?
That's a good one. Okay, so I'm glad you asked that question.
I cannot, but I've got it in all caps.
Why didn't you ask it at the beginning?
I don't know, because I suck at this. That's why.
yeah, you're a farmer. So,
farming demands well-built equipment. Kubota equipment that's proven for over a century. Tractors that are adaptable and versatile. Hay tools backed by a 2-year warranty. Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. And productive SSV skid steers. Visit your local Kubota dealer for a demo today.
So, not a broadcaster, right? So, but actually, you'd have shocked me if you'd have told me that without me knowing it. So anyway, so I was told when I started that Jack's thing, Jack Dale, who I followed,
Sure.
I didn't replace, and I didn't. I certainly didn't fill his shoes. I just followed in his footsteps. His thing was touchdown Texas Tech. I was told. They said, "Don't whatever you do, don't say that." I'm like, "Okay, I'll try not to say that." And so after about the first couple of games, I didn't really say anything memorable. And then I don't know. I want to say it was about the third game of the first season when it just came out that that's what the call was. And then the next touchdown, I said it again. And then a friend of mine that had been listening to the game just said, "Hey, man, that was a great call you made." And I said, "Which one?" They said, "Well, when you said touchdown Red Raiders, you got so excited. It really came out, your passion." And I was like, "Okay, great." And then again, you try not to script anything. It's kind of a no-no in the ad-lib play-by-play world. And so I didn't write it down or tell myself this is what I got to say, but it just started to kind of become the thing. And, been that ever since.
So,
I've called it thousands of times.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So they came, I don't know if the app originated last year, the Varsity app where you can sync TV with y'all.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, man, I love that because the radio is always, 15 seconds ahead of the television at least.
Yeah,
but
10 to 15.
But beside that, whenever we're, say, up 30, up 40, or down 30 or 40, and we score, I'm like, I wonder how he's going to do touchdown Red Raiders because there's no reason for him to be just overly excited. But, I mean, man, I'm like, Brian must dig down deep to get that touchdown Red Raiders excitedly out when we're just getting throttled or we're giving the throttle to somebody.
There are times, yeah. There are times. But you know what? What goes through my head at that moment is there's somebody that's got the radio on, but they're not really paying attention.
Uh-huh.
And they're probably, they might be in another room or they might be driving down the highway and they're kind of almost about to snooze. And I go, you know what? Here's my chance to wake them up. Here's my chance to get them out of that other room and get them back engaged a little bit. And so that helps me, when I think about that, that helps me get, dig down deep and let her rip.
Yeah, because like the call coming into the touchdown, you can tell they're fixing to score, and you're just kind of rolling along, and then boom, you hit it. I don't know, it just always sticks out to me. It's always pretty neat when you do that. But
well, I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate it.
I've always wondered, just real quick, your seats, are they usually? I mean, obviously they're in the press box. Do they have you close to the middle of the field, or is it all over the place from stadium to stadium?
Well, they're actually not in the press box.
Oh, okay.
They're always in it. We're in our own. We're in our own booth. In Lubbock, we're extremely spoiled, and I hope nobody from the tech administration is hearing this because I'll tell them, oh man, it's terrible. I mean, we're in a suite, quite frankly.
Oh, okay.
And it's fantastic. We have a lot of room. It's great. We can have some guests in the booth, and it doesn't cramp our style.
Uh-huh.
John's a big guy. He's tall. He's got long arms, and having us in a booth where we've got some room, I can have a spotter in between us if I have the fortunate opportunity to have one, which I typically don't, but sometimes I'll have a relative, my sons or somebody there, and so there's room. But most places, there's not that kind of room.
Okay.
And so most places, we as a visitor, we're not going to be anywhere near midfield. So like in Oklahoma, they stick us almost, about the 10-yard line. Used to put us in a closet almost. Baylor was the worst ever until they got the new stadium. But so some of the worst, ironically, AT&T Stadium in Arlington, where the Cowboys play, where we used to play Baylor, that one, they put us, that's where Brad Sham does his Cowboy broadcasts. And they actually moved the broadcast booth from midfield to the corner behind the end zone. And it is the hardest place to call a game because you cannot see what yard line they're on when they're on the other end of the field. And so you're literally watching that humongous screen in the middle to see what, and I look up there to see what yard line they're on. I don't watch the play there. but I look to see what yard line they're on because I'm just not positive until I see it up there. So there are some places that are, that are tough, but most of them are similar.
Pretty similar. Yeah, I've always wondered like how many games are these broadcasters? I mean, depending on where their seats are they just watching the monitor the whole time, or are they watching the?
No.
Yeah. Or not the whole time.
I don't think anybody watches the monitors.
Okay.
Even the television guys. I've had the opportunity at times to glance over and watch some of them because, like at Texas, we're in a booth right next to the television broadcast booth, and so we, like when Gus Johnson was there with his feet kicked up on the table, doing his calls, which I thought was a little over the top. It was fun to watch, though, that they don't watch their monitors. They're watching the field just like we are, and then they'll glance at their monitors for, immediate follow or replay or whatever, or set up right before the play actually happens. They might look at the monitor to see if they can pick up on something that they aren't picking up on from the naked eye. But
one thing I know that you didn't see you weren't watching the monitor at an A&M game, and I'm married to an Aggie, but I'll never forget. I don't know if it was you or John. But A&M had just scored a touchdown, and there were, how they make out after a touchdown down at A&M. And I don't know if it was you or John that said, "Well, that's just disgusting." And
that was me.
I never forget that as long as I live. That was so funny.
I'm the one that typically comes out with the things that get me in trouble. So that was me, and well, I won't get into the game last year, but yeah.
It was just, I don't know why that stuck out, but it's like, that's just
I was
disgusting.
also the one that got into the argument with the twice I've gotten into an argument with a fan. Once was at A&M when they were because our booth, it was an open air booth, and the last row of the balcony upper deck, they would stand up and their heads would be in our way at times. They could obviously hear me scream because I'm a screamer. And so when I would scream something, they'd turn around and look at me, and I'd give them grief. This might have been the game that BJ threw. What he threw 6 touchdowns, and then Long threw 7 or something like that.
Okay.
I think it was that game, and so at the end, they're looking back when they were I think they ended up winning that game, and I told them to. Well,
yeah,
I believe I told him to be quiet and to leave us alone.
Bobby not quiet.
And then when we played in Nevada.
Well, we just lost Brian Jensen. I don't know if he didn't pay his bill or whatever, or he hit the wrong button, but maybe we'll get him back. In the meantime, farming demands well-built equipment. Kubota equipment that's proven for over a century. Tractors that are adaptable and versatile. Hay tools backed by a 2-year warranty. Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. And productive SSV skid steers. Visit your local Kubota dealer for a demo today.
Brent, where can we find you?
Harrell in the shotgun from the 28. The throw goes to the right side for Crabtree. It's caught. He breaks. Oh, he's the worst. Touchdown, Red Raiders. Unbelievable. Touchdown, Red Raiders. Michael Crabtree has done it. Michael Crabtree makes the catch at the 5, breaks the tackle, and scores. There's still 1 second on the clock, but Texas Tech, unbelievable, Michael Crabtree.
Now, Landon, were you at that game? Because I was.
No, I have a funny story on that one. I was watching that at our friend's house, who's an Aggie veterinarian that we both know, and me and another Tech buddy are just destroying his living room, celebrating. And he comes up and he goes, "Hey man, they threw a flag. It doesn't count." I was like, "You idiot! Of course it counts." It was great.
Well, the play before that, we thought it was intercepted, but of course.
Oh, yeah, and the guy dropped it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that guy should have ended the game right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I'm screaming like, get out of bounds, so we can kick a field goal.
I know, right?
It just goes, and then you're just in, you're like, oh, this is great. This is great.
Man, it was, yeah. No, I tried to get the "We're number one" chant going. I just could not get it going because we were already.
Which is weird because you're usually a trendsetter. So.
Yeah, I'd clothes, music, style, everything. It's a dream come true. Well, we'll see if Brian comes back here. I've got a few more of his reels that Learfield had supplied me. So let's see if we can find him here. I just changed. Where's it at here? There we go. Okay. Tell me if you remember any of these, Landon.
Tied at 38, 3 seconds to go, 62-yard try. Garibay has his foot into it. It may be long enough. It is good! It is good! It is good! Jonathan Garibay has won the game with a 62-yard field goal!
I remember that. I don't know how many times I watched that. Did you know nobody on Tech has ever made our longest field goal before that was 49 yards?
Oh, I didn't know that.
And somebody had a pretty cool tweet the other day. They said, just think how different the lives of Garibay and Sonny Cundy would be if he misses that.
Yeah,
right. Or how different their lives could be.
And the motion man is Felton going to the right. Empty backfield for Shimanek. Blitz look by Texas. Now Shimanek looks over to Kingsbury after slapping his hands to see if he wants to stay with it. Shimanek straight back. And a throw to the end zone left side. Benson's got it. Touchdown, Red Raiders!
We're just playing some of your highlight reels here, Brian.
Oh, that's cover.
Yeah, we had some nice elevator music. I was just trying to tell Landon, going through and see if he remembered him. And
9 at 38, 3 seconds to go, 62-yard try. Garibay has his foot into it. It may be long enough. It is good! It is good! It is good! Jonathan Garibay has won the game with a 62-yard field goal.
Now, Landon said that was our longest field goal ever in Texas Tech. Is that right, Brian?
As far as I know, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I understand.
Let's see here.
So
Stockton in.
Oh, I was just going to play here. This is
Stockton in now, and Mahomes rolls the pocket right, wants to throw back to the left, and does. It's caught by Stockton. Sidesteps the defender to track meet. He usually wins these. Stockton spun at the 5, dives for the end zone. Touchdown, Red Raiders!
I mean, you can't fake that emotion, Brian. That's not acting, is it?
No, heck no. I mean, no.
It's yeah.
I get pretty jazzed. In the booth, and I don't. So, are you admitting that we had a little glitch there, or no?
I just saw that Brian Jensen had left the meeting, and I thought, well, I guess we pissed him off, and that was it.
Okay, so I got to tell you, you're one of those, like some of those coaches that have real poor time management.
Oh
so,
no!
Like how long have we been on this thing? My battery ran out.
I tried to shut it down 20 minutes ago, and you go into your
my
Alcatraz.
I had to plug it in and get back on here. But so I was trying to tell you the story about Nevada.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I got to get this one out, and then if you want to shut me down, go ahead. But so
like I said, we got all night
playing at Nevada, and that was back when Kaepernick was their quarterback.
Oh boy.
And but anyway, I'm calling the game, and again, they have like a high school stadium, seems like, and we're in a real dumpy booth, and it's open air, just like the one at A&M, and there's fans right there below us, and the whole game, I'm calling them Nevada, and finally this one fan turns around and screams at me, "It's Nevada!"
Nevada.
Okay, whatever.
Nevada,
but
I think,
whatever it is, and I leaned up. I stood up. Well, I always stand up, but I leaned out and I go, "Well, not in Texas, it's not." And they gave me this really dirty look, and I just kept on going and kept calling it Nevada because that's what I grew up knowing that it was. So anyway, those are the two instances, the A&M and the Nevada fans that I've had.
That's fun. So
back and forth with.
Has John had to hold you back more than those two times then, or? Are you about to throw hands?
Oh, I don't know, because most of the great thing is most of the booths are pretty secure.
Okay.
We're like in glass. We're glassed in. In fact, I got to give a shout out to our god of the booth, who's retired now, Steve Pitts, our producer engineer, who's had his last game of the Liberty Bowl. So he would always every booth we were in that was all glassed in, and we didn't have a way to get any kind of outside, ambiance.
Yeah.
we'd try to figure out a way to get a microphone out the window or, around the corner or whatever we could possibly do, even if it was opening up the mic on the field with Chris or whatever. Because man, some of those booths, it's just very sterile, and the sound is sterile, and I'm not a sterile broadcaster, so I'm kind of a disease in there. So we want it as open as possible.
Well, that like with the COVID deal, they had the fake audiences going through the radio system. Listening to like the Ranger games and everything, and they had the.
Steve, that was the other thing great about the tech broadcast booth. So almost all the other broadcast booths we were in during COVID, and we had the option during COVID of either doing the game on the road or in person or at home. And I know some of the schools decided, like TCU did theirs from home and did it off of a monitor. Fortunately, we never did. We did all the games on the road. We tested with the team. There were new rules in place. I had to come to Lubbock early. I had to get on the team charter, go through all the testing and everything. We all got on the team charter. We couldn't leave the hotel, all that kind of stuff. But we at Tech didn't have to have a divider between us or anything like that because our booth is so wide that I'd sit in one corner, John would sit in the other corner, and we'd almost have to yell at each other to be able to hear each other anyway. So it was a perfect scenario to be able to broadcast during COVID.
Well, good, yeah. Well, it's a good part about being a good state that they're not crazy. You didn't have the subway sneeze guard divider between you then. Well, that's
right. Right.
Well, I guess you probably do realize the amount of tractors that you are in on Saturday afternoons or Saturday evenings. And you've probably caused a little bit of spilled corn or cotton whenever you hit a touchdown Red Raiders, or we get off the row when we're trying to cut corn because you kind of light us up but just of course obviously in Lubbock with all the cotton strippers going during the harvest time during football season, you probably want to have maybe other than maybe the Iowa Hawkeyes, y'all probably have the most per capita combine / cotton. I know you have the most cotton stripper listeners probably on the globe. So it's.
Well, I appreciate that comment because honestly, I'm from the city.
Yeah.
I grew up in Dallas. I live in Dallas. I'm obviously completely aware of the industries around Lubbock, and while I went to Tech, I learned everything. Well, not everything, but a lot about the area. And so I'm conscious of that, but it's always a great reminder of, where our listeners really are at the time these games are going on. Because, I've envisioned people in their living rooms, like I said earlier, or their car, or whatever the case might be. I was told the A&M game in 2003, which is the game that was actually the turnaround game for me, I was not really being well received the first couple of years as the Tech play-by-play guy after following Jack, and then in 2003 the A&M game was not televised down there. That was that was the Welker punt return, and because of that, you had to listen to it on the radio if you were going to be able to know what was going on throughout the game. And I got a letter from a guy after the game who literally was in his truck. And the way he put it was, I got to the highest point I could get to on the cap rock so that I could hear you. You kept going in and out, but I found a spot where I could finally hear you. And when you made that Welker call, you just made the hairs stand on my arms and just got me so excited. And that was kind of the moment that turned things around for me. And it made me realize where the fans and the audience really is in West Texas. And it's more than just, listening at the bars and
right.
And the parties that are going on. So
yeah, like for me, if I'm listening on the radio, it's out in the tractor or whatever. Because at home, until this Varsity app came on, I'd love to listen to you, but gosh, you can hear the play 15 seconds, before it happens on TV.
To us now when you got your TV going.
Well, now yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know you are because you text me or you
tweet.
Us
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. It's it's a great time to be alive. Great time to be alive. Well, Brian, the
great time to be a Red Raider.
That's
there you go.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. You need to coin that. Well, hell, it's already been coined. Well, guys,
I believe that one's been coined. I can't claim that.
Tech's pretty stingy on the trademarks, I've noticed. So you got to be careful with them.
I've been trying to get a Touchdown Red Raiders T-shirt for years now, and
well, the cactus. How long did it take to get a cactus T-shirt? 3 hours.
I know. I've been doing the Touchdown Red Raiders now for almost 23 years, and I can't get a T-shirt. And cactus happens. Like cactus hasn't been around, right?
Yeah, right. It's and there's not a cactus anywhere. There's yucca close to Lubbock, but that's in Ransom Canyon. So, yeah. No, it took me about 15 minutes to figure out what they were talking about on the whole cactus thing. But God, oh my, you talk about, and we trended on Twitter, and like a good thing. If Tech ever trends, usually somebody lit one of those electric scooters on fire on Broadway and University. So when we won the final four,
either that or back in the day when Trump was talking about us. That was the last time I think we spiked.
Landon, who was the serial killer that went to Tech? Do you know that, Brian? Who was it? John Hinkley, or not serial killer, but Sean Reagan.
He was the attempted assassin.
Attempted assassin, yeah. I'm sorry.
He's a figure now.
Yeah. If he would have said it's a great.
Right after that, so the T-shirts right after that, you're aware of those T-shirts? Because I was.
You were there.
I'm thinking, I can't remember the exact date, the year that it was, but it was right around the time I was in school.
I think it was 81.
And the T-shirts that came out were they were 6-shooters. There were a pair of 6-shooters, and when you tucked your shirt in, they stuck out of the pant, and they were sure, and that was guns up.
Oh wow!
I was gonna say, I think Guns Up was before Hinkley, but
Oh, I'm sure it was, but it really hit. It really hit big time at that point because one of the networks picked up on it, and I mean it became and they started talking about how students at Tech carried guns to class, which was that was so out of line, so not right.
Oh God, I would say only in Lubbock, but
no. See, that's where you're wrong.
Uh-huh.
That's where you get wrong. That we go back to what we talked about earlier. It's not just in Lubbock. If Hinkley had been at Colorado, not that I'm picking on Colorado. It would have been, something there that they would have, with the weed, it would have been something.
I guarantee you, if Lubbock, Texas would have existed in 1865, John Wilkes Booth would have been from there. So.
Of course.
Man. Well, it's been a great time, Brian. We just beyond appreciate all this time you put in with us and put up with us and all the great stories and anecdotes that you've provided, the insight for Texas Tech football, and we hope you last another 23 years. That way, 22 years. That way you can get a Michael Jordan 45 jersey.
That'd be sweet.
That would be pretty cool. Now, those are unique.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So do you have to chop this into 2 parts because we talked so long?
I was fixing to say, you are going to get us our first 2-parter.
You got enough terabytes to be able to
Hell yes.
upload this to whatever podcast form?
Hell yes. We may be a 3-parter. I don't know. I'm at 1:51. So,
holy moly, you're almost as well. No, you're about halfway.
Joe Rogan
full game.
Yeah,
you're going to be our full August schedule.
I ain't gonna have to work for I'm not even gonna have to cut corn. I'm just gonna go plow it. I'm not even gonna harvest it. So,
all right.
But no, Brian, we're beyond appreciative to have you on here, and man, if we can get you on again, that'd be great. And maybe we'll find you at the Rawls Golf Course sometime and get another hole-in-one for you. I haven't played there since they opened, but anyway, guys, do what?
I try to play there every year that I go in. So
it's last time I remember, it's a man killer.
I do.
Yeah,
I play there every time. In the early part of the season, when our games are always at night, then I'll play every time I come in.
Yeah. It's I just played there once when I was going there. They were building it my senior year. It was a cotton field up until my senior year, and then it was hills, and there's no telling how many cubic feet of dirt they moved to make hills in the middle of Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah. Well, and they dug it out from what I understand and dropped the level of the course.
Yeah.
That's a whole other podcast.
It's a whole. We'll talk. That would be a great title for a podcast. That's a whole other podcast because this is not. Yeah. I didn't mean to hit that button. Landon, where do we find you on social media?
No Twit Landon 44.
That's right. You can find me at Trader Brent. I tweet during the Texas Tech football season the most clever, the most original, the most unique tweets that get read by Brian Jensen and John Harris in about the third quarter, regardless of the score. So be looking for me there. That's your broadcast booth. That's right, Brian.
Why do you wait till the third quarter?
No, I tweet the first part of the game. You don't read it till the third quarter. No. I've never heard you read it till after. On that. No. Don't even go there.
Looking for tweets. We're always looking for tweets at the beginning of the game, and we never have them. It's like halftime and third quarter before any of the good ones start coming in.
Well, I'm going to keep tweeting until you block me because that's how many times I'm going to start tweeting now. So.
All right. Well, okay. Well, we have a new producer this year.
Okay.
So Joyce is going to have to figure out, which ones to feed me.
Nice. So that's a whole other podcast. More logistics. I'm just always fascinated by how broadcasting works with the preparation that goes into it and the lack of preparation that Landon and I do on our podcast. So, but once again, we're with Brian Jensen. You can find me at Trader Brent. We're all over anywhere you can find a podcast. We're on the Global Ag Network. And guys, until next time, y'all be cool, y'all be safe, and we'll ask you, what side of the line are you on?
The Dryline Farmer Podcast, a member of the Global Ag Network. There's podcasts, and then there's this, the Dryline Farmer Podcast.